In June 2020, a seismic event deep inside Western China triggered quiet attention among nuclear monitoring experts. The signal, measured at magnitude 2.75, originated near Lop Nur, China's historic nuclear testing site. At first glance, the event appeared insignificant, too small to attract global headlines. But inside intelligence and arms control circles, even minor seismic anomalies in such locations are never ignored. The geographic context alone was enough to raise serious questions. Lop Nur holds deep strategic significance. For decades, it served as the core of China's nuclear weapons testing program, helping establish the country as a nuclear power. Although China officially halted nuclear testing in the 1990s, the infrastructure, expertise, and strategic importance of the site remain intact. Any unusual activity detected there carries implications far beyond its immediate technical characteristics. In nuclear strategy, location often matters as much as the signal itself. What made this event particularly sensitive was its ambiguous signature. Unlike natural earthquakes, certain seismic patterns can indicate underground explosions. Advanced monitoring systems operated by multiple countries constantly analyze these signals, looking for evidence of nuclear activity. Even low-yield tests, designed to produce minimal seismic disturbance, can sometimes leave detectable traces. The possibility that such a test occurred suggests a level of technical sophistication intended to operate below clear detection thresholds. This is where nuclear strategy intersects with strategic ambiguity. If the event was indeed an underground nuclear test, it would signal that China may be refining its nuclear arsenal quietly, without triggering overt escalation. Such actions, if confirmed, would not represent immediate aggression, but they would reflect a deeper, long-term shift in strategic posture. In the nuclear domain, the most consequential developments are often not the loudest, but the ones designed to remain just below the surface. At first glance, nuclear testing may seem like a relic of the Cold War. After all, today's nuclear powers possess advanced computer simulations and decades of accumulated weapons data. However, physical testing still plays a critical role in ensuring the credibility and reliability of nuclear arsenals. Even the most sophisticated simulations depend on real-world validation. Without occasional empirical confirmation, long-term confidence in warhead performance can gradually erode. Modern nuclear weapons are not static systems. Over time, their internal components age, materials degrade, and new delivery systems introduce different physical stresses. Countries pursuing nuclear modernization often seek to improve warhead miniaturization, survivability, and integration with advanced delivery platforms such as hypersonic glide vehicles or multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles known as MIRVs. These advancements require precise engineering confidence that in some cases can only be achieved through controlled testing environments. Low-yield nuclear tests, in particular, offer strategic advantages. They allow a country to validate new warhead designs while minimizing detection risk and political consequences. Such tests do not aim to demonstrate destructive power, but rather to confirm performance parameters. This technical refinement can significantly enhance the effectiveness and flexibility of a nation's nuclear deterrent. The result is not necessarily a larger arsenal, but a more credible and survivable one. This distinction is central to modern deterrence strategy. Nuclear competition today is less about numerical superiority and more about technological credibility. A smaller but highly reliable and survivable arsenal can exert the same deterrent effect as a larger but less certain one. If China is conducting low-yield validation tests, it would suggest a shift toward optimizing the operational effectiveness of its nuclear forces. In strategic terms, reliability itself becomes a form of power. one that shapes the calculations of adversaries without ever being visibly deployed. For decades, China maintained what it described as a minimum deterrence nuclear posture. Unlike the United States and Russia, which built vast arsenals capable of overwhelming retaliation, China focused on maintaining a smaller but survivable force designed to ensure second strike capability. The logic was simple. As long as China could retaliate after absorbing a nuclear attack, deterrence would remain intact. This posture reflected both strategic restraint and technological limitations at the time. However, over the past decade, this posture has begun to evolve. China has undertaken one of the fastest nuclear modernization programs in its history. Satellite imagery has revealed the construction of hundreds of new missile silos across remote regions, while new classes of intercontinental ballistic missiles, such as road-mobile and MIRV-capable systems, have entered service. At sea, China continues to expand its ballistic missile submarine fleet, strengthening its ability to maintain a survivable second strike capability for multiple domains. This transformation is not simply about increasing numbers. It reflects a shift toward greater flexibility, survivability, and readiness. Modern nuclear deterrence requires forces that can endure a first strike, evade missile defenses, and maintain credible retaliation under all conditions. Advances in hypersonic delivery systems further complicate detection and interception, increasing the strategic value of reliable and compact warhead designs. In this context, validation through controlled testing becomes more strategically relevant. If China is indeed refining its nuclear warheads through low-visibility testing, it would align with a broader effort to transition from minimum deterrence toward a more robust and resilient deterrent posture. This does not necessarily imply aggressive intent, but it does indicate preparation for a more competitive strategic environment. As China's global influence grows, so too does its emphasis on ensuring that its nuclear deterrent remains credible against any potential peer adversary. In nuclear strategy, secrecy is not merely about concealment, it is a tool of strategic control. Conducting activities below the threshold of clear detection allows a country to refine its capabilities without triggering immediate political or military escalation. Unlike overt nuclear tests, which send unmistakable signals and often provoke international responses, low-visibility activities create ambiguity. This ambiguity can serve a stabilizing purpose by allowing technological advancement without forcing adversaries into immediate countermeasures. This approach aligns with a broader pattern in China's military modernization. Rather than pursuing dramatic demonstrations of force, China has often prioritized gradual, controlled capability development. This method reduces external pressure while steadily improving strategic readiness. By avoiding overt escalation, China can enhance its deterrent strength while maintaining diplomatic flexibility. In this framework, ambiguity becomes a strategic asset rather than a liability.
There is also a technical dimension to this secrecy. Advances in engineering allow nuclear tests to be conducted in ways that minimize seismic signatures. Techniques such as underground containment and decoupling can reduce the detectable effects of an explosion. These methods do not eliminate detection entirely, but they complicate attribution and confirmation. This creates uncertainty, and uncertainty itself plays a role in deterrence. Adversaries must consider the possibility that capabilities exist, even if they cannot be publicly confirmed. Ultimately, secrecy allows strategic progress without immediate confrontation. It enables a country to strengthen its deterrent quietly, shaping the long-term balance of power without triggering short-term instability. If China is employing such methods, it would reflect a careful and calculated approach to nuclear modernization, one designed to enhance strategic credibility while avoiding the political costs associated with overt nuclear escalation. When the United States publicly revealed intelligence suggesting a possible secret nuclear test, the disclosure itself became a strategic act. Intelligence agencies rarely expose sensitive detection capabilities without a clear purpose. By making this information public, the United States was not only presenting a technical assessment, it was sending a message. The disclosure signaled that China's nuclear activities are under continuous surveillance and that even low-visibility actions may not remain entirely hidden. This type of disclosure serves multiple strategic functions. First, it reinforces deterrence transparency. By demonstrating awareness, the United States reduces the strategic advantage that secrecy might provide. If China believes its activities are detectable, it may factor this into future strategic planning. Second, the disclosure strengthens alliances. Allies under the U.S. nuclear umbrella, particularly in the Indo-Pacific, rely on confidence in American intelligence and strategic vigilance. Publicly acknowledging potential nuclear developments reassures partners that shifts in the strategic environment are being closely monitored. There is also a broader arms control dimension. The global nuclear order has long depended on a combination of treaties, monitoring systems, and strategic trust. When potential violations or ambiguities emerge, public disclosure can serve as a form of diplomatic pressure. It creates international awareness and invites scrutiny without requiring immediate escalation. This approach allows the United States to shape the strategic narrative while maintaining escalation control. At a deeper level, the disclosure reflects the evolving nature of great power competition. Strategic rivalry between major powers increasingly extends beyond visible military deployments into the realm of technological and nuclear credibility. By revealing this intelligence, the United States reinforces its role as an active participant in shaping the global strategic balance. In nuclear competition, information itself becomes a form of power, capable of influencing perceptions, decisions, and the long-term stability of deterrence.
The global nuclear balance has long been defined by the strategic relationship between the United States and Russia. For decades, these two powers maintained overwhelming nuclear superiority, shaping the structure of global deterrence. China, while always a nuclear power, remained a secondary player in terms of arsenal size and operational readiness. Its strategy focused on maintaining a credible second strike capability rather than competing directly for parity. That dynamic is now changing. China's ongoing nuclear modernization suggests a transition toward a more prominent role in the global nuclear order. This shift does not necessarily mean China is seeking numerical equality with the United States or Russia, but it does indicate a desire to ensure strategic credibility against both. As China strengthens its survivability, delivery systems, and warhead reliability, the global nuclear balance becomes more complex and less predictable. This emerging complexity introduces new strategic calculations. Deterrent stability depends not only on capability, but also on perception and confidence. If each major power believes its deterrent remains credible and survivable, stability can be maintained. However, when capabilities evolve rapidly, uncertainty increases. This uncertainty can lead to defensive modernization, accelerated weapons development, and adjustments in military posture across multiple regions. The result is a gradual transition from a bipolar nuclear structure toward a more multipolar deterrence environment. In such a system, stability becomes more difficult to manage. Strategic decisions must account for multiple actors, each with independent capabilities and interests.
If China's nuclear capabilities continue to advance, it will play a central role in shaping this new deterrence landscape, one where the balance of power is no longer defined by two actors, but by a more complex and competitive strategic triangle. The suspected nuclear event near Lop Nor may ultimately be remembered not for its immediate impact, but for what it represents. It signals a broader transition in how nuclear powers prepare for long-term strategic competition. Unlike the Cold War, where nuclear rivalry was often overt and demonstrative, today's nuclear competition is more subtle. It unfolds through incremental technological refinement, infrastructure expansion, and quiet validation of deterrent credibility. This evolution reflects a shift in strategic priorities. Modern nuclear deterrence is no longer defined solely by the number of warheads, but their survivability, reliability, and integration with advanced delivery systems. Hypersonic vehicles, mobile missile platforms, and stealth-based deployment methods are redefining how nuclear forces operate. In this environment, even small technical advancements can have disproportionate strategic effects. The implications extend beyond the United States and China. Other nuclear powers are closely observing these developments, adjusting their own strategies in response. The emergence of a more technologically advanced and multipolar nuclear environment introduces both new risks and new forms of stability. While credible deterrence can prevent direct conflict, increased competition also raises the importance of communication, monitoring, and strategic restraint. Ultimately, the significance of this suspected test lies in its indication of long-term intent. It suggests preparation for a future in which nuclear deterrence remains central to global power dynamics. Whether this leads to renewed arms control efforts or deeper strategic rivalry will depend on decisions made in the coming years. What remains clear is that the structure of global nuclear deterrence is evolving, and the consequences of that evolution will shape the international system for decades to come.